let's talk about birth control. So my experience with birth control my history with birth control is long and varied. Now, facts. Birth control should be the responsibility of both people engaging in the sexual activity, the boy and the girl. The reality is you have more consequences than he does. And we can debate fairness and blah, blah. He can't get pregnant. The end. So you need to take more responsibility than he does. There's a story about a chicken and a pig at a ham and egg breakfast, and which one was more committed. It's the pig. You're the pig. So, there are a whole bunch of different options. From the timing method all the way to sterilization, permanent sterilization. Whole spectrum. The timing method means you track your periods, which you should do anyway, and that gives you a loose guide as to when you're ovulating. When you ovulate, that means you can get pregnant. Once that egg is released, I don't care if it's the fallopian tubes or your uterus, it can get fertilized. Everybody's cycle is different, and everybody's cycle can be different every single month. So in order to do the timing method, you're going to have to keep track of your periods. There have been apps for that since I was tracking my periods. So Cycle Pages is probably the oldest one. That's what I started using. And no matter what you do, you need to know your body, so you should be tracking your menstruation anyway. So Cycle Pages or whatever new and better app is available, you should be tracking your periods. It's a necessary thing if you're going to be using the timing method, which is one of many, and you should be using more than one. So outside of the timing method, I think the next easiest, or the next more mainstream, I'll do all the mainstream ones first, and then we'll get into some medicine woman talk. As far as getting prescriptions for things, before prescriptions. So timing, track your periods, only have sex when you're not ovulating, and that's the best guess method. Not the most accurate way to go. After that, you can buy condoms and use them correctly and every single time. Condoms have lots of drawbacks, but they are effective if they're used the right way every single time. And when you're having sex with someone, you may have sex more than once in an evening or in a morning or in a session, I guess. And what can happen is you use the condom the first time and then you roll over and you're ready to go again, and then there isn't a condom or you don't fit, whatever. Boys will say it doesn't feel the same. They are right. It does not feel the same. It's worse. So they're not wrong when they say they don't want to have sex with the condom because it feels different. But it's not important that they're right. That's like me saying I don't want to go outside because we're having chicken for dinner. Irrelevant. So condoms work when you use them the right way every single time. They block sperm, they block disease, they block sensation. After condoms, I like spermicidal inserts. They're little flat, clear things. You fold them up, you insert them deep into your vagina. They block sperm. They do not block diseases, but they will block sperm. And they're great in conjunction with something else like a condom. Sponge, vaginal sponge, same idea. You insert it in your vag and it's got spermicide. It kills sperm. Doesn't block disease. Good to be used with condoms. So if he brings a condom, you can bring the spermicide, whatever. Those are all things you can get without a prescription. There are female condoms. I don't have any experience with that. There are prescription stuff. So you can get a prescription for birth control pill. That's an everyday thing. It's every day. It releases hormones into your body that change how your body operates. As soon as you miss one, you can get pregnant. Everybody's body responds differently to birth control pills. It's an everyday thing. I enjoyed being on birth control pills the first time I took them. It cleared up my skin, and I didn't have a problem remembering to do it every day. I was motivated by the idea that I could have sex whenever I wanted to. And that's pretty strong motivation. So I didn't have a problem remembering to take the birth control pills while I had a partner. When I didn't have a partner and I wasn't sexually active, it was harder to remember or to stay disciplined enough to take them every day, because sometimes I felt like, well, it's not even that big a deal. If I forget, no big deal, I'm not having sex. And that's the danger zone. You don't want to do that. You want to be consistent. The second time I took birth control pills was after I graduated from college, and when I took them then, my body thought that I was pregnant because of the hormones that it was releasing, and so my body decided to give me, we had morning sickness like I was pregnant the whole time I was taking the pill. That did not go well, so I stopped taking the pill then. You can also do the Nouveau ring. The ring you insert into your vagina and you let it hang out there, I think for a week, and then you replace it, or a month, some amount of time. Then you go in there and you take it out and you replace it. There's also the patch. I've never done the ring. There's also a patch. I didn't do the patch. I have really sensitive skin. But the patch works the same way. You put it on your body somewhere. It releases hormones into your body until you need to take it off and replace it. It's not an everyday thing like the pill. The Depo-Provera shot works even longer than the patch or the ring. You get a shot administered by a doctor or nurse practitioner, and it releases hormones. Also, I've never done the Depo-Provera shot. It has a bad reputation for weight gain, but I've never experienced that. The one that lasts longer than the Depo-Provera shot is IUD. Love my IUD. It used to be like the top tier birth control, but it was really expensive. Prices recently come down in the past 5 years. There are generic versions now, so it's not as expensive. It is inserted into your uterus by a doctor, and it's T-shaped, has little strings attached, so that when you want to remove it 3 months, 6 months later, a doctor goes in, finds the strings, grabs the strings, pulls it out. I have had IUD, loved it. It was painful going in, not for very long, and I wasn't sore after, but they ultrasound. They use an ultrasound machine to find exactly where your uterus is in your body, because it's generally in the same place, but again, everybody's body is different. So the doctor does the ultrasound to figure out exactly where your uterus is and exactly where to put the IUD. And the ultrasound made me cramp up. That was painful, but inserting the IUD was not. And it only took a second. So painful insertion, absolutely mindless operation. There's no way to do it wrong because it's in your body, releasing chemicals, hormones, again, just like the other non-physical barriers. There are risks associated with each of them. With the IUD, if there's a doctor who's not good or well-versed in inserting IUDs, they can clip the strings too short. If they clip the strings the strings that are attached to the IUD are plastic, but they soften up with your body heat. So when it's inserted, they're stiff, and then with your body heat, they soften, and they're supposed to curl up around your cervix, so that A, they're out of the way, and B, so that they so that the strings stay in place, so that the IUD can be removed. It's like a tampon, but way, way deeper and for a different purpose. If they cut the strings too short and you have sex, there is a chance that your partner can feel the strings, and it can be painful for him. That will put a damper on things, let me tell you. So you want somebody who's done it before. It's not a bad thing to ask questions about how often your practitioner inserts IUDs. It does knock your body chemistry off. So you will have unpredictable bleeding for the first 3 months, at least 3 months. It can seem like forever. It is all the way unpredictable. And it is a pain, honestly. It is pain. But after that period, my periods went almost all the way away. Like, I only had to buy panty liners. And it took me years, like a year, to go through a box of panty liners. A small box. It was amazing. It was awesome. So, IUDs, I think, are great. They last a long time. There's no user error. It did not hurt coming out. I was nervous about it coming out, and when I was at the doctor getting it removed, she was like, do you want me to count you down? Do you want me to just surprise you? And while I waited to answer, she took it out, and she was like, never mind, I already got it. So there's that. There are more permanent or longer lasting forms of birth control. You can get an implant, like a Norplant, and it's like an IUD, but it lasts about twice as long, and it goes under your skin, usually in your shoulder or something like that. So that's an option. I've never had one of those either, so I can't really tell you too much personal experience about it. So that's all of the like mainstream doctor FDA approved birth control options that you have. Now, I have had situations where those were not options. One, because I had a partner who was not for birth control. His stance was that what my problem was and everything that was making me unhappy was that I didn't have a baby, so he was going to hook me up. And he took all my birth control, which is abusive, and that's not okay. So don't let anybody take your birth control or try to take control of your birth control. That's your body. And also, I found myself in situations where I did have access to mainstream birth control, but I was very lackadaisical about it, and I did not use it with fidelity and consistency the way I should. So I found myself in situations needing some backup birth control. And I found success. I'll start with the one that has the least amount of success. Mega dosing with vitamin C and having a parsley vaginal insert. I have had success with that. That'll bring on your period. And it's not very invasive. Like, you can mega dose on vitamin C. It didn't make me nauseous or anything like that, and I'm real good at getting nauseous. So mega dosing with vitamin C and having a parsley vaginal insert, I've had success with that, bringing on the period. The vaginal parsley insert was a little difficult to wrangle, like logistically with my hands, but I read it somewhere. It worked. Now, I've had consistent success when I was in that relationship where I didn't have access to birth control. I consistently used blue and black cohosh tinctures. Blue cohosh, every 16 drops every 4 hours, a week before my period was supposed to start. And so with that, you have to know when your period is supposed to come. So tracking your period comes in handy with that also. 16 drops every 4 hours, even at night. Do not skip. And I never had a problem. It was so effective and low-key that the same guy went with me, had me make a doctor's appointment and go see my gynecologist. And he, at the appointment, asked my doctor why I wasn't getting pregnant and to see if anything was wrong. Because it was so effective, he couldn't figure out why he was not impregnating me. And the doctor, who was not in on the scam, but was a good doctor, gave him 2 prescriptions. He was like, well, usually if a woman's not conceiving, it has something to do with the man. Most of the time, it's low sperm count or low sperm motility. And he gave the dude 2 prescriptions to go get one to get his sperm count checked and one to go get his sperm motility tested. And I wanted to high five him, but he wasn't in on the scam. He was just being a good doctor. So the blue cohosh, black cohosh, as far as non-mainstream methods of birth control, that has served me all the way well. And your cousin, the nurse who has 5 kids, it served her well until she wasn't night dosing. So now instead of 4 kids, she has 5. Can't skip the night doses if you go that route. So all that is probably all that I know about birth control. No matter what, you should be tracking your periods. Oh, the morning after pill. Done that too. So that's technically not birth control. It's emergency contraception. So call it what you want. The morning after pill is an expensive birth control method. It is effective. It will throw your periods all the way off, just like anything else. When you're messing with the chemicals that your body normally produces, it's going to change some things. The morning after pill, it works as they say it does. You have to do it as soon as possible. It's more than 1 pill, so that's a thing that you should know. It has made me nauseous before. It works. Throws your period off. That's how things go. It is a good idea if you are sexually active to buy it when you don't need it, so that you don't find yourself in a situation where you have to go find it and finance it when you have it, when you need it. So preparation is always better than, prevention is better than cure. Birth control something is one of those things you should think about before you need it, but that's with everything. I'm a big fan of being prepared. Because nothing is more expensive, time-wise, money-wise, emotionally-wise, than being pregnant and having a baby.